Good evening. I'm Patrick Hayes, and I'm one of the ministers here at Redeeming Life Ministries Church in Stanton, Virginia. And I've been on a Wednesday night series about some of the biblical poetry. Last Wednesday night, we discussed chapter 9 of the book of Proverbs, which I call the two houses. I want to kind of go back over that from a different angle this time and in a different way. So we'll be getting into that. Would someone like to open us with a word of prayer? How about you, Brother James?
Hallelujah. Father, we love you. Thank you for this opportunity on this Wednesday night to come and hear your word again. Lord, just pray our hearts are open, our minds are open, and we can receive your word. We love you and thank you so much in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Well, I'm not even going to bring the Bible up. Tonight I'm going to read to you from a passage from a book I wrote. I've written this as a story about Solomon. In this piece here, Solomon is in the last month of his life. He does not know it. But he's trying to prepare his son, who he does know will soon be king. He figures it will be in a few years. And he doesn't know that he'll die very soon, and Rehoboam will suddenly be king. And if you read your Bible, you'll know that Rehoboam makes a mess out of everything. And within a few days of Rehoboam's kingship, the nation falls apart. And like Humpty Dumpty, all the king's horses and all the king's men can't put it back together again. Solomon has been teaching the Proverbs to his son Rehoboam. I dare say that all of the Proverbs are really written for Rehoboam to study. Solomon uses the term "my son" over and over again, particularly in the first 9 chapters of Proverbs. Hear me, my son. Incline your ear to me, my son, and such things. He's talking to someone, and so many of the Proverbs deal with what a king is supposed to do and what a judge and a responsible person is supposed to do. We assume Solomon is talking to his son. 4 times Solomon uses the phrase, "my children," hear me, my children, in the Proverbs. So Solomon has 2 daughters. Their names are mentioned only once in 1 Kings chapter 4. Their names are Basmath and Taphath, and they may be Rehoboam's full sisters. Rehoboam is the son of Naamah, Solomon's first wife. And he is to be king, and Solomon knows that he is rebellious, he's arrogant, he's insolent, and worse than all of that, Rehoboam is very foolish. Rehoboam's in his late 30s at this point. We don't know Solomon's age. We're not given an age marker on Solomon's life. But Solomon became king when Rehoboam was 2 years old. That means that Solomon married Naamah, Rehoboam's mother, more than 3 years before Solomon himself became king. So Rehoboam's grown up watching his father, the king, but having learned nothing from him about it. Solomon wishes he had another son. Other sons he could choose among, and as David did. David had several sons. Maybe Amnon will be king. Maybe Absalom could be king. Maybe Adonijah could be king. It comes down to Solomon becomes the king, and he is David's 10th son. Oh, if only Solomon had other sons to choose among. But he is stuck writing these Proverbs and having arguments to try to win Rehoboam over to some kind of wisdom. On when Solomon really became respected as a young king, it was because he had this famous court case involving two women. And you can read about this in, I believe that's going to be 1 Kings chapter 2 or 3. The court case between the two women and the baby. Both women claim that the baby is her son. It can't be found out. Conflicting testimonies. There's no agreement among witnesses. And Solomon finally famously has the soldier come in and hold the sword high, and he says, just cut the baby in half and give half to each of the women. And everyone in the courtroom, their eyes are focused on that sword held high, and except for three pairs of eyes. The eyes of one of the women is on the baby only. The eyes of the other woman are on the first woman. And the eyes of Solomon are not on the sword. They're watching both women's faces. And in the way they react in the moment before the sword is to fall shows Solomon the discernment between the two women. It seems like after that, so much of what he writes will have to do with the figures of two women. He will speak in his Proverbs quite often about a wicked woman that he calls the stranger, or the strange woman, or the harlot. And then he'll speak a good deal about the virtuous woman. And it seems that he quite often compares two different kinds of women as his large motif. Oh, he also talks about wicked men and righteous men. But when he speaks poetically, he's got this woman that he calls Lady Hokmah, Lady Wisdom, personifying wisdom poetically or analogously as a noble woman. But he also has the idea of the tempting harlot. And in chapter 7, he's given this story of this woman. She's a married woman, and her husband is out of town on a long trip, and she dresses in the attire of a harlot in the evening, in the black and dark night, and she goes out on the streets and seduces a young man to come into her house for a sexual tryst that night. That story Solomon tells, he says he looked out his window and saw this woman in the street below tempting and seducing that young man. And Solomon writes of it in his story. It's probably a story he was telling Rehoboam. This particular day, Solomon and Rehoboam had been arguing all day long in one of the rooms of Solomon's palace. And we come down toward the end of the argument, and Solomon is telling Rehoboam, there is one decision that I want to see you make, and I can't make this decision for you, son. Only you can do it, and I pray that you will make the decision. All right, Father, what is it? It's what I've been speaking to you about all this day. To choose wisdom above all else. All right, Father, if it means so much for me to say so, well, let me emphasize this to you one more time. Anything you say, Father, all right. Now imagine a young man of little experience, just come of age, and led out on his own to explore the wide world. Solomon begins, assuming his most dramatic storytelling posture, to reel out his parable. As he proceeds, he becomes more animated and illustrative. Rehoboam, despite himself, becomes engaged in the simple allegory as his father tells it, momentarily forgetting his frustrations and resentments. His father, the master tale spinner, moves him into the story as if he were there, could see and hear it all. So, Solomon says, the young man strolls the road at sundown. He follows a spare time impulse to satisfy a rumor-fed curiosity. The road takes him to a suburb he's passed aforetimes, but has never paused to inspect the neighborhood. Just ahead, to his right, as he comes up the hill crest, stands a large, lovely gated house of a noble woman. There are preparations for a banquet tonight in the seven-pillared mansion. Servants bustle about. Aromas of roasting meat and fresh bread water his mouth. 11 young ladies come out of the front door. They file down the yard path and out of the gate into the road. They disperse in all directions. One of them passes him. She carries a letter, a ribboned invitation. They're out to call upon chosen guests to come to the feast. She smiles at him as she walks by. He trudges on until he's just along the gate, meaning to pass it, when a matronly voice calls to him. "Young man, you there! Who are you?" He turns to see the noble woman herself coming down the steps into the yard. He's surprised that she's addressing him. "What is your name, young man?" He halts before the gate and waits politely for the lady to reach it. He removes his cap. He makes a slight bow from the shoulders. He has never personally spoken with such a woman. She carries herself with upright poise in a white aristocratic dress. A knowing authority knits her brow under a slim gold circlet nestled among the curls of a gray-brown coiffure. She extends her hand to the gate as though she might open it. There is a ruby-set golden ring on her finger. He tells her his name and family. "Well, I am the Lady Sophia Hokmah. This is my house. It is open nightly for young men who wish to better themselves responsibly, to achieve privileged positions, and to one day guide the affairs of our city. Are you here by invitation? My daughters just left to deliver them." He has heard of her. Some people laugh about the crazy matriarch on the Hill House, the rich lady who spends her fortune to feed and teach hoity-toity types about good grooming, good manner, good grammar, and how to make friends among the upper classes. She wants to save young men from the life of sin, a do-gooder who preaches against people having fun. They say she goes around the city telling everyone how the young today need more persons like her to persuade them from joining gangs and wasting their lives and such. He's also heard that the kind who attend her parties are all smart alecks and primpy social climbers. "No, ma'am, I don't have an invitation to anything. I'm just walking by." "Well, where are you going tonight, son? Do you live out this way?" "No, ma'am, I'm just out for a walk." Her eyes narrow. She points them at a cluster of buildings further on the next rise. "You're not going over there, are you? That's a mean neighborhood for a nice young man like you to be wandering around in at evening time. Why not come in here and have dinner with us?" "Well, ma'am, thank you kindly, but I haven't much money with me to pay for a dinner." "Hush now, I do not sell food. It won't cost you a farthing. You just come and join us. Others of your age are coming. You'll enjoy the conversation and the meal." She pushes the gate open and reaches out for his hand. "Oh, ma'am, thank you, but not right now. I see you say your daughters, they've just gone out to bring your guests. If I come in now, I'll be the first one here. I don't know how I ought to be clothed. You know, if others come well dressed, well, I'd feel, don't you worry about it, my boy. Your clothes are adequate. You come as you are. You will be welcomed here. He touches her hand and mumbles thanks, but he steps back. What time does the dinner begin then, ma'am? Perhaps I'll return for it. The other guests will be arriving shortly. We will dine in 1 hour. Are you sure you don't want to come in now, son? I promise they will all welcome you. Oh, thank you so much, ma'am, but not yet. Perhaps in an hour then, if it's all right. Well then, but know that you should come. The gate swings shut. She stands there as he turns away and walks downhill. She calls out after him, you come back, son, in 1 hour. Bring a friend if you wish. There's plenty. We're having a 7-course meal tonight. Thank you again, ma'am. Perhaps I shall. Solomon slips into his poetry at this point. Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn out her 7 pillars. She has roasted her meats. She has mingled her wine. She has furnished her table. She has sent forth her daughters. Now she calls from the heights of the city, he who is simple, let him come in here. And as for him who lacks understanding, she says to him, come, eat of my bread and drink of the wine I have mingled. Solomon pauses in his story to examine Rehoboam's face. Is this another story about someone you've actually seen, Father? Yes, many times, every day. Well, Father, I'm trying to think what road that is. I don't recall any 7-pillared mansion near a bad neighborhood anywhere in Jerusalem. Where is it? It's out there, son. Right out there. He motions his chin to the west window. Every evening. It's one of his parables. He makes it sound as though he's actually witnessed it all. All right, Father, I think I know where this is going. What happens? You should guess it. The boy walks on. In a few minutes, he's down and then up the next rise in the sordid district his friends have told him about. The wide road has narrowed to a tight street. He's just looking, curious. He hears loud music and laughter. In one hovel he passes, a man and a woman are fighting, hurling nasty insults and accusations at each other. In the next, someone sings a bawdy ditty. He passes a wine shop where a disheveled man has just been dragged into the street. The poor fellow lies there in the mud, grinning stupidly and mumbling that he only wants one more cupful. Our young man steps gingerly around him. He glances up at the scowling barman. The man grins. You want a drink, kid? No, not just now. Oh, I know what he wants. Come on over here, mister. I've got what you need if you have just a little money. He looks left to see who's talking. Across a lane, from a shabby dwelling, a door opens under a low stoop. A lamp burns in the one window, its flame somehow reddened. At the step, the dim doorway frames a seated girl. Or is she an older woman? In the settling twilight, it's hard to tell. Her feet spread apart under a skirt of scarlet muslin, her elbows on her knees. She picks her teeth and lifts her chin twice, demanding, questioning. She rises to her feet and spins around once as if to display her clothing. She faces him. Against the lamp's glimmer, he can see her hip jutting, her hand on it, her elbow wide out, her other hand smoothing her skirt along her thigh. Are you speaking to me? Yeah, she's talking to you, man, the barman chuckles. Go on over and see what she wants. He spits from his door toward the fallen drunkard. Then come on back when you're ready for a drink. The barman does not go into his door. He stands there watching. Our boy stands there too, his hand at his belt bag, fingering through it what coins he has, looking at her in the dusk, the lurid lamp glow outlining her figure. Her elbow drops. She approaches him slowly. He swallows and takes a step or two toward her, his hand still at his bag. They stop within a few feet of each other. He can't see her face well. He can make out the cascade of curls around her shoulders, her sweet perfume tendrils to his nostrils. His heart quickens. He hooks his other hand into his belt. He wonders why his hands are trembling. Are you looking for someone or just passing by? This is a dead-end street, you know. It stops just down there. Oh, I'm waiting for dinner later, back up the street. It's not time yet. I'm just walking around. Well, we don't like for people to just come and hang around down here. Men come here who know what they want. Don't you know what you want? Sure I do. Maybe later. What's your name? Look, you don't tell me your name and I don't tell you mine. Names don't matter, Mr. Maybe Later. She comes closer. She puts her hand to his cheek and pats it. He can feel her breath. He still, even this near, cannot clearly see her face. The long wave of hair hides it. He senses that she's older than he. Her voice sounds young. Her touch is electric, making him want to draw back and at the same moment draw closer. He hadn't wanted her to touch his face. Now that she has, he doesn't want her not to. She rests her palm on his shoulder. You come see me when you're ready. Have your drink, maybe. I'll be here. We'll get to know each other first. Then maybe we'll tell names. All right, maybe so. Where's the dinner you're going to? Not up there, huh? She tweaks her head slightly to the left, indicating he knows the brightly lit mansion up the road behind him. Be careful if you're thinking about going to that table. Boys go in there and they change sometimes. Come out with all sorts of uppity ideas, get self-righteous and think they're better than the rest of us. After a while, we never see them again. Never? Mostly. Anyway, forget it. I can tell you this much. She'll treat you like a boy. I'll treat you like the man you are. You come down here to see me. You came down here to see me, didn't you? Someone told you to look me up. What do you want? To wait till it's fully dark? All right, I understand. Come back in an hour. But don't stand around in the street. It's not liked. Go into the tavern if you're not coming to my place yet. Or go away and come back. She turns, twisting back to her door. He still hasn't somehow had a good look at her. She calls again to him, not turning around, just jerking her head his way with the same redolent motion. I'll be here for you. Just don't keep me waiting. He watches the way she moves, an animal-like sinuousness silhouetted against the candle-lit window. She goes in. If she peeps out at him, she does so too far behind the lamplight for him to see her. It occurs to him that he has never felt before what he feels now. How her touch, her near voice, and her close perfume have awakened something in him he had only suspected was there. True enough, she made him feel manly, sort of. In another way, now that she's gone, and with the barman across the street still eyeing him with folded arms, he feels silly, ashamed, a lost boy. He turns and walks back down the low slope, then up the higher hill toward the shining house. The guests have arrived. Through the uncurtained windows, he sees them standing around a lavish table, preparing to sit. They're mostly men. some older and with their wives, some young as he and single. He doesn't want to approach from this direction. He walks by on the far side of the road. When he's out of sight of the place, he crosses and turns back and approaches the gate. There's no one here. There's no one there. He opens it and enters the yard. He can hear the lady's voice. Through the window, he sees her standing at the head of her table, tinkling a tumbler with a spoon to call attention from her guests. They take seats at the table. He moves around the corner of the house unnoticed to the bushes under a side window. He wants to hear, but not to be seen. Not to commit himself by arriving inside and having to make introductions. Besides, she's already speaking to the group. He tells himself it would be rude to come in and interrupt. He can't see much from his hiding place, but he can hear as clearly as if he were inside. I'm going to pause just a minute. How's my story going so far? I think of people that I invite to church and they say, I'd really like to, but I don't know if I should. And it happened to me just the other day. I was in a store and asked the young man who was helping me, why don't you come to our church? He wanted to know where it was. He had a few questions. He said, I just don't know how welcome I would be. And I said, of course you'd be welcome. But people have feelings. And some of them have been intimidated. They've been in churches before where they weren't treated well, and they've said harsh things like, I'll never go back to a church. If we can be kind enough and get them out of the bushes under the window and make them feel truly welcome, I think we can build souls. That's the predicament my character, or Solomon's character that he's telling about, is in. Solomon stops, turning to look toward his own dark window. His eyes, Rehoboam notices, have become glazed as though caught in an old memory. Father, yes, what? What does she say? What the boy hears? Wonderful things. He doesn't have the sense to know how wonderful. She speaks 7 lessons. This is what I went over last week from the scripture. 7 lessons, don't they eat? Yes. 7 fine courses, just as she had said. With each course, she discusses a theme. A theme. The ways of Lady Wisdom. The 7 pillars of her own house. Ways. 7 pillars. Yes, her grandeur and nobility, her value to her community, all rests upon her 7 teachings, just as her house rests upon the 7 columns. So, Father, what are these important 7 lessons? The same things you and I have talked about all day today. You mostly, Father, not you and I, really. Those 7 are the summation of her appeals. All right. The first deals with the dangers of bad company, whom to exclude from your confidences. Forsake the foolish and live. Death lurks among fools. Recognize them and avoid them. Don't let them influence you. The second is positive. Choose wise and successful mentors and companions. Go in the way of understanding. The third is the sad realization that scorners will never learn. They've gone too far to hear reproof. He who reproves a scorner only gets shame to himself. He who rebukes a wicked man gets a bruise for his effort. When you reprove a scorner, he'll only hate you for it. The fourth lesson is that wise and just persons welcome reproof, correction, and teaching. Rebuke a wise man and he will love you. Give instruction to a wise man and he will be yet wiser. Teach a just man and he will increase in learning. The fifth is that the principal distinction of a wise man is his relationship to God. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, And the knowledge of the holy is understanding. The sixth lesson the lady teaches is wisdom's promise of longevity. By me your days will be multiplied, and the years of your life will be increased. And the seventh and final lesson she is teaching is a reminder of individual accountability. If you will be wise, it will be to your own credit. But if you scorn, only you are to blame. That's it, Father? That's the 7-course lecture all these people gather to hear in the lady's house? No wonder the boy in the bushes isn't too impressed with it. Obviously you aren't, son, but he is. Solomon observes his son's face underlit from the table lamp, and he thinks, sometimes I have inner thoughts that I bring out. This is Solomon thinking. Maybe this child simply can't hear these things. Or maybe he should have heard them long before now. Somehow, I've missed a chance to appeal to his better potentials. I spent all those years building palaces and cities and the temple. Those things should have waited until I had finished building my son. I know it now. Too late. He will be king and should learn from a king. Instead, he's learned sarcastic, heedless ways from a crowd of radical fools, scorners. It's impossible to break through to him. He's not like me. When I was younger than he, I was intrigued with my father's teachings. Maybe he gets his recalcitrance from his mother's side. No, that's not it either. Solomon closes his eyes. He settles his teeth hard together. He remembers his childhood perceptions of his older brother, Absalom. He reminds me too much of him, influenced by fools, rebellious to our father, headstrong in anger. No, I'll not think about that. My boy isn't him. There's a chance with God's help. Solomon opens his eyes. Rehoboam is gazing at him. The king turns and moves again toward the window. He leans an elbow on the sill and looks out at the darkening streets. He looks back to the lamp-lit table and his seated son. Our young man is impressed. He resumes the story. He wishes in part that he had arrived in time to join the guests before dinner. For the other part, he can't help glancing from time to time down the lower hill to see the lamp still burning red in the distant window. But he remains listening to the end almost. Their questions and comments about each lesson deepen. They intrigue him. He'd like to stand up from the bushes and speak loudly his own questions into the discussion. Of course he doesn't. The last lesson, the one about bearing your own responsibility for your chosen ways, confuses him a little. A man seated closest to his window makes a comment that muddles him even more. Before the boy can think to restrain himself, he speaks out, "But I thought, listen, someone's outside. Who's there?" Men rise from the table and rush to the window. Servants come out of the front and rear doors to catch the trespasser, the eavesdropper. The young man had clapped his hand over his mouth the moment he had found himself blurting. He runs across the front lawn toward the gate. "There he goes, madam. We'll get him." One big man almost does get him. His hand grasps the young man's collar just as he slams the gate behind him. He wrenches free while the man fumbles with the gate. The boy starts down the hill. "Wait! I know that young man. He means no harm. Do not frighten him." The Lady Holkma stands in the torchlight of the front porch. "Ask him to come back. Tell him he is welcome here." She strides out past the halted servants to the gate and opens it. The guests are gathered at the porch, shading their eyes, peering down the road at him. He has made it to the bottom of the hill. He stops where when he hears her voice calming the ruckus up the hill, up the other hill, he stands stock still and looks back up the road behind him. He's in a shadow. He knows they can't see him right now. He sees them up there with their torches. The lady is in the street ahead of them all, scanning down into the blackness where he waits, panting. She calls loudly into the dark, "Come back up here, young man. Do not be afraid or ashamed. We are your friends. Come and share dinner with us." He opens his mouth to respond, but stops. He feels foolish. How can he face those people in his stupidity? She calls again, "Young man." He is struck that she's a truly good woman to be out there in the street calling for someone as simple-headed as he. There's such a note of imploring kindness in her voice. He turns to walk up toward her, ashamed though he is, but someone touches his arm. Solomon now quotes more of his poetry. A foolish woman clamors loudly, but knows nothing. She sits at the door of her house below the higher places of the city, calling men who pretend to pass by. He who is simple, let him come in here. And as for him who lacks understanding, she says to him, stolen waters are sweet, secret bread is eaten in pleasure. But he does not know that the dead are there, and her guests go to the depths of Sheol. Wait, don't go back up there. He whirls around, shaking the hand from him. She brings the red lamp from behind her back, its light now between them. He says, did I just hear you whisper something about he who is simple, let him come in here? It's exactly what the lady said to me. You must have been listening. I didn't whisper. You're hearing things. I don't know. I could swear. What do you want with that old dame and her snooty friends anyway? You want to be like them? They'll just bring you back up there and make fun of you. I saw you across up there, creeping under the windows of her house. I know what you're up to. You think you'll rob the place, huh? You can't. Too many servants, you artless fool. They'll accuse you of trying it, though. You'll go to prison. Don't go back. You down there, I see you with the lamp. You leave that boy alone. He has nothing to do with your kind. Shut up, you. What do you want with him? You leave him alone. Don't yell at me, you meddlesome old crone. I'm sick of you always interfering with my friends who come down here to see me. Go on back in your big house and have your party. He's staying with me. She takes his hand and gives it a tug. You are staying with me, aren't you, lover? Don't go with her, young man. People die down there. You don't know what you're getting into. Yeah, he knows all right. A good time is what he'll have, not a bunch of stuffed shirts sitting around a table and talking all night. She pulls him close to her. She puts her head on his shoulder. You want dinner? I'll feed you. I have bread we can eat together in a quiet room. I stole a jug from the barroom's cellar. That's all we need. Who wants her old dinner with no fun? Come. He shakes loose. Maybe I should go back and talk with them first. You don't want to do that, lover. They'll keep you up there all night. I can't wait forever, you know. Maybe I'll come. Maybe I'll go back. Maybe I'll do neither. I don't know yet. I just don't like anybody pushing me. Well, all right then. Make up your own mind. I'll be here when you decide. Here, put your arms around me one time and tell me you'll come. She embraces him with a lingering, pressing hug. She kisses his cheek. She turns to walk again to her house. He looks after her. her silhouette framed by the lamp she carries. He wonders why he yet hasn't had a good look at her face. His confused senses tingle of something young, old, lovely, ugly. He probably wouldn't recognize her in daylight. He's in the dark again. He looks back up to the mansion. The guests have returned indoors. The lady and her servant are still at the gate, though inside of it now, and they're still looking his way. Young man, I know you're still down there. I can see you're not with her. Why don't you come? He doesn't want to, is why. He'll be coming to my place if you'll leave him alone. Let him make up his own mind. The young man looks up one way, then down the other. The red-lamped woman has turned again and is now almost to her house. The lady has gone in, but has left a lit torch ensconced at her gate to show him the way. He knows it's there to welcome his return. Looking again the other way, he sees the harlot has entered her house and has set the red lamp again in her window, also a welcome. He stands in the dark alley of his decision, his hands in his belt. He's got maybe his thumbs hooked and hanging here is his little purse. He can feel how many coins are in it. He fingers his money bag again. He still trembles a little, but not as much. He notices that he's no longer panting. It's getting late. He stays there a while, now looking only downward, where he would see his own feet if there were light enough. He sighs and starts toward her house. Solomon becomes quiet watching Rehoboam. He turns fully into the window, resting both elbows on the sill. He interlaces his fingers and leans his forehead onto the doubled fist, indicating that he is finished with his story. Wait, no, Father, is this how your parable ends? He goes to her house? Which house? The ladies or the harlots? Which way? Rehoboam's eyes frame an expectant smile. Come on, Father, tell me where he goes and what happens. It has darkened black outside. The old king turns and raises his forehead to stare outward, skyward. No, son, I can't. You will have to tell me. Rehoboam sits back looking at his father. He waits. His father says nothing more. A full minute passes in silence. The prince drums his fingers softly on his knees. He rises and says, well, may I go to my family now? No answer. Good night then, Father. He slips quietly out of the room, soundlessly closing the door. End of chapter. Thank you. That's all I wanted to do tonight. Just give you a little reading, and I hope that's meaningful to you. That comes from a trilogy I've written in which King Solomon, the first book of the trilogy, the Queen of Sheba comes, and part one of that book he spends answering her many questions, talking to her about David, Moses, Abraham, Yahweh, the God of Israel, and of his own history. He discusses with her. She's already read much of his poetry. She has questions about the Song of Solomon, or the Song of Songs as he calls it, and she has questions about his mother's song of the virtuous woman whose price is above that of rubies. And Solomon talks with her. Then the second part of book one is the kings of the earth. And Solomon is in what will turn out to be his last gathering, receiving the kings of the earth to a wisdom conference. And he introduces a sailor who I'm going to introduce to you if we still want to keep on with this. And in 12 chapters, the sailor teaches the group a lesson about one of the 12 wisdoms, things that he learned from a sailor's aspect and point of view. When he finishes, Solomon says, I have one more guest to speak to you, kings and emissaries. I want to present my father's general, and he's been my general, though he's very aged, the soldier Benaiah. And old Benaiah rises and addresses the group. And with his address, book 1 ends. What I read to you tonight comes from book 2. And it is Solomon talking to Rehoboam, and I employ every single proverb and much of Ecclesiastes in their conversations together. And book 3 will be 200 years later, Isaiah talking with King Hezekiah about the meanings of the Proverbs and the wisdom of God, and teaching some of his own poetic prophecies to King Hezekiah. So that's the book. I call it The 12 Wisdoms of Solomon. So still polishing it, working on it. How much did you read in it, Brother James? Yeah, I thought you had told me that. The arrival of the Queen of Sheba and all that fanfare and stuff. Anyway, maybe one of these days they'll bury me in Westminster Abbey next to Shakespeare or somebody for being a great writer. But that's the point I wanted to get out on this today. Go back over the chapter we read last week and maybe flesh it out to what that might be. Almost a universal story of temptation. Thank you.